Usually, a real estate transaction comes down to, a predictable return on investment. You check the zoning, do the math, sign the papers. But looking through the notes and commentaries you sent over for today's custom deep dive, we hit a moment where an ancient property deal just completely derails.
Right. We're looking at the book of Ruth today, specifically chapter 4, and our mission is really to unpack this profound gap between selective and total obedience.
Yeah, and it's all triggered by a single line of fine print. So let's set the scene for everyone listening. We're at a bustling ancient city gate, and Boaz offers a closer, unnamed relative the first right to buy a parcel of land belonging to their relative, Naomi.
Exactly. And the relative just jumps at him. He says, I will redeem it right away. He's seeing a very straightforward asset acquisition.
Because acquiring that land under the Levitical redemption law is, it's basically a massive win for his own estate, right? He absorbs Naomi's parcel and instantly expands his own family's agricultural footprint.
Yeah, his wealth goes up. And that assumption holds right until Boaz drops the second edition. By buying the land, this relative is also legally bound to marry Ruth, a Moabite widow.
Oh, wow. So suddenly this isn't just about the Leviticus land law anymore.
No, not at all. It triggers the Deuteronomy Levirate marriage law, which was designed to preserve her dead husband's name and inheritance.
Okay, let's actually unpack the mechanics of that because it changes the math entirely. The whole point of that Levirate law was an ancient social safety net, right? It ensured a childless widow wouldn't starve.
Right, and it kept the deceased husband's lineage alive. But that lineage requirement is the absolute deal breaker here. If the relative marries Ruth and they have a son, that son inherits the land being purchased today.
Wait, really? So the relative would be spending his own present-day wealth to farm and maintain property that will eventually pass to Ruth's child?
Exactly. Under her dead husband's name, not even to the relative's own existing heirs.
I gotta say, that makes the relative's reaction completely understandable. I mean, it's like buying a lucrative foreclosed property, pouring your own capital into it, but suddenly finding out the contract requires you to adopt the previous owner's family.
Yeah, it's a huge liability.
Honestly, the guy backing out to protect his own assets is just practical human nature. Why risk your own financial security and dilute your own family's inheritance for someone else's legacy?
Well, that instinct for self-preservation is exactly why this transaction is so revealing. What's fascinating here is that the unnamed relative isn't really a villain. He's just practicing selective obedience.
Selective obedience. So he's willing to follow the rules only when it's profitable.
Precisely. He is perfectly happy to follow the religious and cultural laws when they function as a wealth-building tool. But the moment the law demands a personal sacrifice that threatens his bottom line, he legally opts out.
It's obedience filtered through a spreadsheet. If the math works, I'm in. But Boaz, on the other hand, operates on a completely different paradigm.
He really does. Boaz models total obedience. He takes on the financial liability of the land, the social responsibility for Ruth and Naomi, and he just accepts the personal cost, regardless of the financial risk.
He's spending his own resources to build up another man's name. And the historical fallout of that choice is, it's staggering when you look at the genealogies.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, you really have to look at the supreme irony of the outcome. The unnamed relative backed out specifically to protect his inheritance and his name.
Yeah, but because he played it safe, Scripture doesn't even record his name. He is just referred to as a certain one.
Yeah.
He is completely forgotten.
The irony is so sharp. He guarded his legacy so tightly that he lost it entirely. Boaz took the perceived loss, he embraced the complicated family dynamic, and God used him to continue a royal lineage.
Right. He becomes the great-grandfather of King David and ultimately an ancestor of Jesus. It just exposes how terrible we are at calculating the ultimate gain or loss of doing the right thing.
We really are. We try to measure the cost using our incredibly limited short-term metrics. We just stare at the immediate financial or social penalty.
Yeah, we simply lack the data to foresee the generational impact. Obeying fully, even when it looks costly, is often our greatest gain.
Exactly. The perceived loss in the moment is frequently the exact mechanism used to create a lasting legacy.
Which brings up a really provocative thought for you, the listener, trying to make tough choices today. We live in a modern world that is completely engineered to protect us from this kind of risk. We have legal frameworks and insurance entirely designed to shield our personal inheritance.
Right, systems built to prevent us from having to take on the heavy, uncalculated burdens of other people.
But you have to wonder, think about your own life today. Are you holding back from doing the right thing in a specific situation simply because you're trying to protect your own inheritance rather than trusting the bigger picture? If our society has insulated us from the kind of risky total obedience that Boaz modeled, are those very safety nets quietly costing us our own profound legacy-defining moments?